Hello everyone, welcome to Last Bench Listener. In this session we are going to discuss about basic data types in Swift programming language. What's data type? It's just a way in a computer to store and act upon data. Generally in computer programming language we can use data types to store and manipulate the data in variable based on the type of data. Whenever we are creating a variable in Swift programming language, it's automatically required space is reserved in memory for that variable. And the space allocation in memory is varied based on the type of variable like integer or float or double or anything else. Well, what are the different data types in Swift? They are pretty similar to other computer programming languages. If you are not familiar with this, should be fine. Because many of these data types have their roots in basic math or Boolean algebra. So in Swift programming language, there are 4 data types: integer, double, Boolean and string. Other data types are float, character and optional. Let's say this in detail. Integers, positive or negative or 0, that's non-decimal numbers are called integers. It's using the keyword int or uint. For example, 42 and minus 23 are integers. It's used either signed or unsigned integers. Signed integers are positive, 0 or negative. Unsigned integers are positive or 0 values. Swift provides signed and unsigned integers in 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit and 64-bit forms. We can use int 32, int 64 to define 32 or 64-bit signed integer, whereas uint 32 or uint 64 to define 32 or 64-bit unsigned integer variables. Integer having some ranges from 0 to 255. It's a minimum value for uint as 0 and maximum value for uint as 255. Next one is double. If you want to allocate the large number with fraction value, then we can use double as a float data type. It's using the keyword double. For example, 345.344 and minus 5445.3455. Double stands for double precision floating point numbers, so that's a pretty long name, but in essence it's basically just means a decimal number. So while integer cannot have any decimal, it can only be confined within a numbers with intervals of 1 starting from 0. Next one is Boolean. It represents only 2 values, either true or false. We can use bool to check whether certain condition met or not. It's using the keyword bool. This kind traces like binary 0, 1 to 1. For example, let we take I equal to 1, then we will check condition I greater than 10. It's true means it returns 1, otherwise returns 0. Next one is string. It's an ordered collection of character as a single unit. We can define string data types by adding double quotes to our text like hello. It's using a keyword string. Next one is float. It's used to represent with the fraction values like 3.14159, 0.6 and next one is float. It is used to represent the numbers with fraction values like 3.14159, 0.6 and minus 273.158. Swift offers programmers with 2 floating point number types. These are double and float. Double represents a single bit floating point number. Float represents a 32-bit floating point number. Next one is character. This is a single character string literal. For example, we will give G or anything else. Next one is optional data type. It's represent a value, can hold value or no value. It's a new concept that does not exist in most programming languages. The main purpose of this type is to provide safe and consistent approach to handling situation where a variable or constant may not have any value assigned to it. Variable or declare as beginning optional by placing a question mark character after the type declaration. For example, variable index colon integer question mark, that is optional. The variable index can now either have an integer value assigned to it or have nothing assigned to it. The compiler and runtime are concerned the optional with no value assigned to it actually has value of nil. An optional can easily be tested to identify whether or not it has value assigned to it. It's like using if statement. If an optional data type has a value assigned to it, that value is said to be wrapped with an optional. The value wrapped as an optional may be accessed using concept referred to as forced unwrapping. This simply says that the underlying value is extracted from the optional data type. Procedure that is performed by placing exclamation mark after optional name. Now we are going to discuss about declaration and initialization of variables or constants. Declaration tells the compiler of which type, where and how much to create storage for variables or constants. When we define a variable, we need to declare variable name and data type. If you want to declare an integer, first we call that integer number, then we specify to computer that number is an integer. Essentially, we have to declare that variable. Next, we can initialize that variable. So, initialization means the variable assigned it to value for the first time. Before the value was nil or default value. For example, after declare a variable or constant, we are available with the name and data type. So now we can initialize it by, for example, variable x, it's an integer type, so we are going to assign a value 68 for x. We are going to declare and initialize some data types in X code. Just we declare variable x as integer. So first we can put var, this is variable keyword. After that our variable name is x, put colon, then you can declare it's an integer, so I in caps, this is integer data type. This is normal declaration, so we are going to initialize some value, so we can put 6. This integer value is 6, so we can print this value x. Now we will see the result. It's displaying that result. Here, that a single line of the code we both declare and initialize the variable x and 6. Okay, let's declare double variable y. It's a type double, so keyword is double, D in caps, double. Then we declare some value 45.6. Then we are going to print this value, print y. Now we will see the result. Now it's printed 45.6. Let's we declare Boolean. So first we take a constant, it's true. Then we declare a keyword for Boolean, it's bool, B in caps. He says that it's a false. Then we print it. It's true. Now its boolean value is false, so it's printed as a false. We try string. Now we can take variable st or a string variable, then put colon, this type is string. then string value, put string value within a double quotation, last bench listener. Going to print this value string str. Now we will compile this one. Now it's print this result, last bench listener. Now we are going to discuss about declaration types in Swift programming language. There are two types, implicit and explicit. Implicit means we don't write variable data types on the screen, but the computer knows that variable is a certain data type. For this example, variable str, that value is last bench listener. Here we do not declare variable data type. We directly give the value of this variable, which means we do not write variable data type on the screen, but compiler should understand and execute it. This is implicit declaration. Explicit declaration. It explicitly write on the screen what data type you want that variable to be. Consider this example, variable str, this is variable name, and string, this is variable data type. Then only we will give the value of that variable. So this is explicit declaration. For example, this is explicit declaration because we declare which data type it is. This x variable is integer data type, y variable is double, and this true variable is the Boolean, and str is the string data type. We can declare, we can explicitly write on the screen so what data type this variable it is. Okay, next we will discuss. Here I am not going to explicitly says that number is an integer. So variable x, directly I will give its value is 6. I am going to print this value x. Now I can compile this one. Now it's print the value result as 6. Now see this is implicit. The computer automatically assumes that if we don't write anything in front of it as a integer or anything else, I just give that x equal to 6. That means I can assume the value of x equal to 6. It automatically takes its integer value and print the result. It does not occur any error. Now we have to declare this variable as a double. So variable y equal to double, so 68.5. Then we can print it y. Then we will compile this one. See this first line, it's here we have only declared 6 as a x with no decimal places. After the computer automatically declare the number as an integer, and here we does not declare as this one as a decimal, but its computer automatically takes it's a decimal. So as we seen the before explicit declaration, if we want to do the same thing, it would be equal to 6. Okay, so explicitly declaration making absolutely certain what type its x is. In this part, we discussed lot of concepts. So first we talked about data types, and I taught you to 4 most used data types in Swift language: integers, doubles, booleans, and string. Then we learned some more data types: float, character, and optional. We also learned about declaration and initializations of variables and constants, which we do with colon and appropriate type. We also talked about implicit and explicit declaration of variable or constant. In next video, we will discuss about how these data types are interact with each other with a concept called operator. Would you need more updates? Subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.